So, Linda, this is the type of personalization we want to introduce where the product page itself shouldn't be static for every single customer that looks at it. You can see this is kind of the default version. We've seen this product page a million times, flat image, product description. But what we want to do is if it's a middle-aged shopper, they should see something like this, where the image is actually geared toward anti-wrinkle and the product description also incorporates those kind of benefits that they care more about. Whereas a teenager or young adult cares more about anti-acne, so they would see something like this. And again, the description and the images are tailored toward that persona. So that's basically the concept.
So what happened there was those were images that were already loaded in the gallery. What your tool did was just pick the most appropriate landing image, for lack of a better word, and then also swapped out that teaser intro copy or a product description to based on more contextual keywords and language. So I mean, the big obvious question is, okay, how does it do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it chooses the right here image based on the set of images that are already there, because we have a computer vision model that looks at every image and is able to describe that image to our LLM system, our generative AI system, which is similar to ChatGPT, which you may have been using. So the images are being chosen, not generated, but the descriptions are actually being generated. And so that's something that happens because it looks at the types of customers that are coming to your store. It defines those personas. And then for each persona, it decides what kind of product copy makes sense for that type of buyer.
Okay, so it's actually generating the copy and it looks at the image to kind of get the context, or does it take the existing description that the merchant already has as well?
Absolutely. So it's both. It looks at the images to understand the product better, but it also looks at the product title, product description, and any attributes and tags that you may or may not have in your product information repository.
Okay. So from like the merchant's perspective, how much effort does this need to do, or is it just kind of plug and play, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, so it's actually a bit of both. We wanted to design the system in a way that it kind of accommodates a lot of different kind of data sophistication levels with retailers. We understand that some retailers have put a lot of time and effort into getting their data story really down pat, but other retailers aren't as well versed in how to manage and get that data going. So it is a plug and play product where you actually don't need an existing CDP or a strong product information manager system. But if you do have those things, it makes the personalizations even better. For example, if you have like a Klaviyo CDP or a segment CDP or some sort of PIM system with deep attributed product information.
What about like a brand new visitor that you don't know anything about? Would you just show like the regular page and leave it at that?
Yeah, so for a brand new visitor we don't know anything about, what we've found is something really powerful about generative AI is that even with a small amount of data, we're able to make really powerful assumptions about the shopper. So let me give you an example of the worst case for us from a data standpoint is if we have nothing else except for IP address, which you can pretty much always get IP address. And through IP address, we're able to see your relative region or location. And an example of a powerful personalization that comes from just location is along with that skincare example we were just talking about. Let's say that your skincare product has anti-sun properties, right? SPF 30. So a shopper shopping from Florida versus a shopper shopping from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we can make the assumption, or rather our LLM would make the assumption that the shopper in Florida would care a little bit more probabilistically about the anti-sun properties. So it would boost those attributes in the chosen hero image and the generated product description.
Well, now that you brought up Florida, I want to ask you a question about apparel, because I know like LA fashion, New York fashion, Midwest fashion, and Florida fashion can be wildly different. Like it's Kardashian versus, like that. So in apparel, are you seeing like merchants coming to you and like, or like, does your tool already factor kind of style and preferences and maybe sales data, like if you know that there's a lot of sales volume for a certain set of products in a certain region, can the AI kind of ingest that and use it?
Yeah, so apparel is a really interesting case because fundamentally what this product does is it's able to isolate the different benefits of a specific product and see which people care about which of those benefits and address those benefits to those specific people. So with apparel, it's a little bit different because the benefit of apparel is more like fashion senses. So who cares about this type of aspect of the jacket? Oh, maybe someone cares that it kind of follows like a chic kind of fashion sense. Maybe someone cares that it's a really warm jacket. And so that kind of sales data, if the client, the retailer or brand already has a really strong data story where they have done that kind of customer research, then that is the information that is most likely reflected in their CDP, which is something that we're able to integrate with and that's able to be taken into account by our LLM.
And what do you think about like localized data? Because I used to work in a shoe store like back in high school, and we would. It's interesting because like head office would send us a whole bunch of stuff, but we knew that like just downtown, there was a different clientele. They would want different sizes, and they
Mm-hmm.
would want different styles based on like kind of the demographic there. And I don't think that online retailers have really tapped into that kind of understanding of like merchandise velocity and like preferences and stuff down to like a zip code level or a regional level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, us, we would open up boxes and we would immediately do a trade. We'd call downtown now, send us your size
Right.
10s and send us your boring stuff. And we would send you, we would send you
Right.
the funky stuff. So do you see
Yeah.
that becoming incorporated in like PDPs, the images, and even further up the journey, like a category page, what products you show first in a product list?
Yeah. No, I'm really glad you brought that up because you're totally right. Where in in-store shopping, you are interacting with real people, and in some cases, those people can make kind of assumptions based off of your body language or what you maybe you're having a conversation with the store associate. They can understand what you're looking for and really understand you and talk to you on that human level. And that's something that I think we're on a thematic level missing on the online shopping experience because essentially the way that we talk to our customers through an online store is through the images and text, the product titles, descriptions, images, call to actions. But those are ubiquitous, those are static across all your customers. So it's not actually talking to you as an individual, it's talking to you the way it would be talking to, my grandma, right? And so that's where we're trying to use the data that we do have about an individual customer and make a subjective understanding about who they are and then therefore talk to them in the way that would make the most sense for them. And we're starting with that with the PDPs, but after that, we plan to expand to every service on the online store, such as, like you mentioned, landing pages, catalogs, etc.
Well, that's interesting, right? Because you talk about like the way that the website talks to you. And I think that like one of the fears is that if you just let Gen AI write a product page for you, it might be missing certain context, like the brand voice or like something that you know about your particular customer. How does the AI take that from a, like how can you plug that into technology like this?
Great question. So it is important to understand that we really don't think it's smart for retailers and brands to adopt a system where it's like, okay, AI is taking control here now. Like AI is a system that manages all this stuff. The way our tool is built is this really more of a co-pilot where we understand it's super hard to write all these different versions of product content for all these different personas. In fact, not a super hard, it's pretty much impossible, which is why it wasn't being done before this. So the AI's role here is to make that process of creating different versions for each persona easy for you. But at the end of the day, it's the e-commerce manager or the marketer that has control, which is why every single thing that the AI does, every single version that the AI wants to make, needs to be approved by that person first. And sorry, what was the other part of your question?
So like how can you as a merchant like support the tool by feeding it things like, you know, brand,
Right.
this is okay, this is not okay. And sometimes like vendors
Yeah.
also have like, you know, they'll drop you as a reseller if you kind of violate
Right.
their tone of voice. So how do you kind
Yeah.
of like how do you as a merchant support the tool and get the most out of it? And does your
Yeah.
tool actually enable you to put those things into it?
100%. And that's super important because we have seen other kind of AI generation tools and that are supposed to basically write product content for you, like descriptions and stuff. And they are terrible. like the things they generate sound so weird and cheesy and salesy that it's basically a waste of time because you might as well have written it yourself. The same way here, if the outputs were like really bad like that, you would be spending all your time editing the descriptions. And what was the point of the AI even doing anything? So we have a very important section of our product called brand voice. And that's where we put in all the knobs and dials for how to tailor how you want the AI to be speaking and have safeguards to protect your brand for what the AI should not be writing at all. So things like banned words, curse words are banned automatically, but there's further, you can add more custom banned words to make sure it's not generating those things, and add things like example ideal descriptions so that it's already writing in that style, which limits the amount of edits and time it takes for you to review and improve them. Furthermore, there's even more in-depth information. We give a lot of optional control here where you can put in your brand history, brand description, general brand tone, as well as any custom like domain knowledge that you might have about your specific business.
Mhm. Right on. Um, I guess to close it out, I mean, where do you think this is going in the next 6 months, 12 months?
Well, I think that personalization is it's been a field for a long time. It's been a hot topic for like 6, 7, 8 years, but we think it's been an unfulfilled promise. Things like product recommendations and targeted discount pop-ups and retargeting emails. That's what we call personalization today, but we think that true personalization is when the website itself morphs to match who you are as an individual. And that includes what we talked about today about changing the images and text, but long term vision, we think it should also include the way the website looks and feels. So the UI itself should really change to match your cognitive style, right? If you're someone that is a very detail oriented shopper, you should see a lot of the detailed specifications. But if you're someone that's more of a visual shopper, maybe the images should be more prominent and the actual descriptions and specifications shouldn't be as prominent. That's where we think personalization is going, where the website actually morphs to you.
Yeah, that's kind of the holy grail, right? Because we spend a lot of time, weeding through as customers and trying to, like, we have to have a dedicated part of our brain that hones in on the things that matter to us. But if that's just surfaced right up at front, that's hopefully where we'll get to in the industry.
Yeah. It's a very exciting future, and I'm glad we got to chat about it.
Yeah, same. Thanks.